Hi everyone! Today I'm talking to you about 6 things I learned in the first 6 weeks of doing the ketogenic diet. First, my name is Stephanie Newton and I make videos on YouTube about holistic living, food, homeopathy, things like that. My educational background is in nutrition and homeopathy. I'm a wellness consultant. I practice from right here in my home. I see clients from around the world. I also have courses I'm developing. You can check all that in my website in the link below. So the first thing I learned very quickly is that I needed to replace my electrolytes. I found myself getting a little bit shaky after a few days on the ketogenic diet, and the first thing I thought was that I was having like a blood glucose crash. My blood sugar had dropped. And because I tend to have higher blood sugar, I actually was pre-diabetic at one point, and so I just ate some berries one day and I thought, okay, let me eat some berries. That's, they're keto safe. Let's see what happens. And it didn't help me feel better. So then I thought, okay, I need to eat like another carb because I'm shaking. I don't know what else to do here. I can't go pick up my kids at school shaking. I can't feel like this. I don't remember what else I ate, but something that wasn't even keto safe. I just needed to eat something to feel better. And it did not help me. It was like a carb thing that I ate. And then I realized, okay, maybe my electrolytes are low, because I've had that before after exercise. I've had like times when I've needed to replace my potassium and sodium. So I did that and I felt better. It felt very much like low blood sugar, which I found very interesting. So what I did was I have these fruit punch and potassium drinks from Whole Foods. I added in a little Himalayan salt to taste. So you want to add just enough that you can taste the salt, but not so much that you're gonna, overdo your sodium for the day. And that made me feel a lot better. I also learned in doing some of my research on YouTube and things that we also need to replace calcium, magnesium, and potassium. Well, we already talked about potassium, but this is a CalMag potassium supplement. And because when we reduce our carb intake, we end up excreting a lot of water, and that explains the tremendous weight loss that some people experience over just the first few days. A lot of us are losing inflammation/water. But with that water loss, we're losing electrolytes, including calcium, magnesium. So those are things to consider too. You can also talk to your doctor about checking iodine or other things too, other minerals, but those are some things that you need to keep in the forefront of your mind as you're beginning the ketogenic diet. Now, I'm finding that I don't need to replace my electrolytes as much. I'll have one of these every couple days now, but not every day like I was in the beginning. The second thing I learned on the ketogenic diet is be prepared. That's the #1 rule on this diet, well, beyond, making sure you have your electrolytes. Be prepared, guys, because your body is going to change its relationship with food, and that includes your hunger signals and how often you need to eat, and that could be individual with everybody. And the hunger could come on before lunchtime, let's say you had breakfast at 8 o'clock and all of a sudden you are starving by 11 o'clock, but lunch isn't planned until noon. You don't have anything prepared and you're starving. So be prepared for moments like that when you are not quite used to your own hunger signals and your own relationship with food, which changes dramatically on this diet. You should have things in your house or with you, such as a complete protein so that you can make a quick protein shake or protein smoothie or whatever. This one is vegan. I use this because I don't tolerate dairy. This saved me a few times when I work from home, so at least I'm around my food, but I had nothing prepared. In the beginning, I didn't really have snacks. Like, I didn't have things I could just throw in my mouth besides some seeds. So I was able to make my protein shake, and that gave me like 30 minutes to prepare a meal. And it allowed me to get through that crazy hunger that came on so suddenly. I wasn't prepared for it. Also, be prepared for carb cravings. You are most likely going to experience moments where you're like, I need something sweet. And it's not necessarily a biological need. It's not necessarily that your blood sugar is dropping. You just need it. And at that point, you're vulnerable to binge on something that's in the house, especially if you have kids. There are going to be things in your house or a husband or, a spouse that you shouldn't be eating. So be prepared with carb, low carb items such as Lily's chocolate. This is their extremely dark chocolate. It is, I don't know what percent cacao, 85% cacao. It is a popular item that people use because it is sweetened with stevia. So be prepared with stuff like this. Every once in a while I'll get a chocolate craving and I'll literally just have this much, this much, and it cures my chocolate craving. It's just a little piece. It barely even registers carbs, if at all. And I also like to have, this is something I bought just the other day, to have a sweet drink in the house. This is Zevia. This is sweetened with stevia as well. The first time I drank it, I was like, oh, it's really not like, it's not like real ginger ale. I was like kind of disappointed. But then the next few times that I drank it, your taste buds will adjust as you're on this diet. And my taste buds adjusted. And then the next couple times I drank it, I was like, ooh, good. It's a good treat, and it's fulfilling that little, desire for like a Coke or something. So those things are really helpful to have on hand. So be prepared before you even start the ketogenic diet. Have some of these things to deal with the hunger that's going to come up suddenly sometimes, and deal with those sweet carb cravings. If you're the type of person that likes like a crunchy snack and you need like a crunchy something in the house, there are a few different things I've found at Whole Foods. I don't remember what they're called, but they're like these egg curls. They look like cheese curls. They're in the potato chip section, and they're made of eggs. They're high in protein, very low in carb. And you can also get, what I really like to snack on at night is just raw string beans and raw carrots. You have to watch the carrots because they tend to be a little bit high in carb, but boy, does it take care of that carb, like crunchy snack craving that I can get. So the third thing that I learned on the ketogenic diet in my first 6 weeks is that dairy makes me crash. So I have been, for the most part, dairy-free for 7 to 10 years, maybe longer. I have a history of asthma and allergies and sinus infections, and eliminating dairy helped me so much in that department. I no longer need medicine and things like that. So a week into the ketogenic diet, I started to feel like, most of these yummy, amazing recipes I'm coming across on YouTube and online are made from cheese and heavy cream and things like that. And so I thought to myself, well, if I'm reducing my carbs, maybe I can tolerate a little bit of dairy. So I started to go a little crazy with dairy about a week into the ketogenic diet. And at first I was okay. And I actually have some homeopathic remedies and things I can take to help me tolerate dairy. So I thought, oh, this is working. I can take this remedy, I can eat some of this dairy food, and oh my gosh, the dairy pancakes are so good. The pancakes and the pizza crusts and things with dairy in it are so yummy. I'm doing this. But what I noticed over 2 to 3 weeks is I started to really crash. And I eventually figured out it was dairy, because in the first week of keto, I felt amazing. After getting over 1 day of keto flu, I felt euphoric and energetic and almost like too much energy. Like by the end of the day, I needed to expend more energy. It was amazing. And then as I started to do dairy, that kind of dropped off, and it got to the point where I had fatigue, I had brain fog. I couldn't even say my kids' names. Like, what are your names? I had weakness, muscle weakness, almost bordering on soreness. I just felt terrible. And I finally realized one day, all right, gotta give up the dairy. This is actually something that's left over from my dairy craze days. I was enjoying whipped cream for the first time in 7 to 10 years, but nope, all done with that. All right, before I get to 4, 5, and 6, a word from our sponsor, which is my wellness consultation practice. As I said, I practice wellness consultations from here in my home. I see clients from all around the world on video chat or phone, and I focus mainly on homeopathy. This is something that I've been trained in after my undergrad. This is a remedy called histaminum. I got this from Whole Foods. They come in these little vials. I'm going to show you their little white pellets. They're not herbs, they're not supplements. They're little white pellets. This one in particular is good for histamine reactions, allergies, things like that, histaminum. And then there are other remedies that you can't get from Whole Foods. You have to get from a homeopathic apothecary or pharmacy. This one happens to be from England. This one is called lycopodium, and this is just a common homeopathic remedy, but it's in a higher potency. So I use homeopathic remedies for the most part with my clients, but sometimes I will also suggest supplements, herbs, essential oils, dietary changes, even other practitioners. Sometimes they'll say you need a chiropractor for that, you need a craniosacral therapist for that, things like that. So I have clients that see me long term, and many of them are getting better. And I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to read a testimonial that I received recently. Stephanie, I cannot express enough how much you have impacted our life. You have literally gotten us out of the condition that I'm helping them with. My boy is happily going to school, smiling and communicating more. I want so much more, but I am so grateful for where we are. I remind my husband on a regular basis that this progress is due to you and homeopathy. And she goes on about some other things. And I have been working with this family for about 1.5 years now, and her son continues to improve in the condition that he came to me with. So his wellness is overall improving. And so that is one example of a testimonial that I see in my practice. And I'm also right now developing new courses. I have an acute homeopathy course, I'm developing a level 2 homeopathy course, and I'm also developing a group coaching program for nutrition. Okay, so back to number 4. I learned that I think I tolerate coconut. Now this is just specific to me. When I had to eliminate dairy, I was like, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do? I need a creamer for my bulletproof coffee. I need like more things in my diet. I don't want my diet to be so restricted. So I tried coconut oil, I tried coconut creamer, and luckily I seem to be doing okay. So we will see. I'm excited, super excited about that. I feel like I don't know, I've been like set free. Okay, number 5. Oh, and by the way, with number 4, I'm allergic to nuts. That's why coconut is so important to me. Coconut, people who are allergic to nuts sometimes cannot tolerate coconut, and I tend to be one of those people. So I can't overdo it with coconut. Right now I'm tolerating it, probably because I haven't had it in a long time. I'm going to sort of cycle it in and out so that I don't develop some sort of an intolerance to it. So hopefully that's gonna work out. All right, number 5. Meal prepping gets easier. So at first I felt like I was in the kitchen 24/7, and I really was. I was in the kitchen all the time cooking, scratching my head, what am I gonna eat next? What's for dinner? What can I cook that the kids will also eat? So there were a lot of factors for me to work through in figuring out what type of meals to prepare. I also have the dairy-free and nut-free issue, right? So especially when I quit dairy, it was like, woo, now I'm really scratching my head. You know, what snack can I eat? I'm really hungry right now, I just want a snack. All these questions, I would stand here and I'd be like, what am I doing? And constantly researching recipes and constantly like ordering more food. I do like the Prime Now app and order food from Whole Foods, and I go pick it up. And I was just constantly doing those things, and I was asking myself, like, is this really sustainable? I'm a single mom. I am busy. I have kids that are not going to do keto with me, at least at this point. How am I going to do this? Luckily, what I found is that the meal prepping really got easier. So I am meal prepping once a week when I can. I don't always need to anymore because I work from home, right? So I can be home and I can meal prep through the week if I want to. So for an example, I can make egg cups. I can put, bacon and sausage in the cups, put some egg in there, a little paprika, salt, and pepper, and I can make enough to last me a few days, 3, 4, 5 days almost. And I've gotten one of my kids to eat some of it. So that really helps because then that takes care of breakfast. Breakfast is done, right? Another thing that I have prepared ahead of time is salads. Like I'll make a very big salad and that'll last me for 4 or 5 days, as long as it'll stay fresh, right? It lasts me a long time. So now my salads are prepared for the next 4 or 5 days. I've also prepared things like chicken salad. You can make that in sort of a batch, a large portion, and then eat it over several days. So that has really helped. And then, I've also just made things, very basic things that I know my kids will eat with me. I've made a pot roast. I included potatoes in there, but I didn't eat them. I made some cauliflower rice on the side for myself, and I put the pot roast and the carrots on top of the cauliflower rice and a little bit of the juice from the pot roast, the broth, and it was so crazy yummy. And then my kids enjoyed the potatoes, so that worked out really great. I make steak and veggies a lot. My kids will eat steak. They won't necessarily eat the veggies I eat. I like asparagus, mushrooms, things like that. They so far won't eat that. So I'll make a separate, like a frozen veggie for them on the side, or even a little bowl of fruit for them on the side. You know, it works out fine. They're happy with that. Or I'll make hamburgers and I won't eat the bun. I am gonna be looking for a bun recipe that I can eat, but I'll make buns for them. You know, it works out great. Okay, number sixth thing I've learned on the ketogenic diet in the first 6 weeks is I have increased endurance. So the first 4 or 5 weeks, I did not exercise. 5 weeks. I didn't exercise because I just was so busy in the kitchen. It took over my life for a few weeks, you know. I wasn't exercising, and I was starting to hear in my research that in the beginning, in the first few weeks of being on the ketogenic diet, your endurance and exercise tolerance will go down. So when I heard that, I thought, okay, I won't make exercise a priority right now. I'll just let it go. And they said, like, once you've been on the diet for like 5, 6 or more weeks, you become fat adapted, your body learns to burn fat for endurance. And sure enough, I started exercising a few days ago. I've gotten 2 exercise routines in the last few days. And I am shocked that I experienced 0 soreness. So usually if I take a large chunk of time off from the gym or off from working out, my first couple days I'm pretty sore. And I didn't experience that. And on top of it, I usually start, like if I'm gonna restart my workout, I'll start with 5-pound hand weights, and that's enough to make me sore. I couldn't find, and I still can't find my 5-pound hand weights. I'm sure a little gremlin in my house took off with it. So I grabbed my 8-pound hand weights, and I found that I was like, wow, I'm lifting this really good. Like I can do a whole set, and I can do a whole, you know, set of reps, and I can do 3 sets, and this is amazing. And then I found the next couple days I did not get sore. Now I might have experienced a little bit of fatigue, nothing really crazy like in the past when starting, you know, to strength train. And I experienced an increased appetite. Definitely found myself in the kitchen looking for snacks. So I have to kind of adjust to that now that I'm exercising. But I did not get sore. So I find that absolutely crazy. I've been doing some research. You can look, Thomas DeLauer has several videos on this, and there are studies showing that there's less lactic acid buildup when you're in ketosis and you're burning fat for fuel. So, you know, I was a little skeptical about that effect on athletic performance and endurance until I experienced it. I'm like, this is crazy. Never in my life have I experienced this before. And also, in general, I have increased endurance in my life. I don't crash at 2 in the afternoon like I used to. Like, I pick up my kids, you know, at 2 and 3 o'clock, and that's normally about the time that I'm like, I want to lay down for a nap. And sometimes I would lay down at like 1:30, just get a quick 20-minute nap before I have to go pick up my kids. I don't need that anymore like I used to. I just don't get that crash. And then at night when I would be preparing dinner for my kids, I would find myself just so like, I can't wait till 8 o'clock. I'm so tired, or 9 or whatever time I can go to sleep. You know, I'm so tired. And no, I just don't have that. Like my body just feels so fit and like fit for life. I don't know. So anyway, those are the 6 things that I learned in the first 6 weeks of the ketogenic diet. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Click the notification bell because I do plan to go live once per week from here on out. And I will see you all next time. Goodbye.